We are on YouTube and Twitch today. What? Good morning, Willie.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Like I was just saying a little bit before, I had a rough night. I was up really late because I'm stupid and I play video games. And so I got up probably about 5 minutes before I would start the show. So I was like, I think I need a little bit more time. I like my eyebrows were like down in my cheeks, my eyelashes were like up on my forehead. So I had to like fix my face to, form it the way that it's supposed to look.
Oh,
So
I wasn't much better. I mean, I about 20 minutes before I got on here, I had to shave and shower, and yeah, so this
yeah,
is
yeah.
my
I
hair was
said
like
screw the shower.
all around. I mean, I was a disaster.
Yeah, I said screw the shower. I was like, I'm just gonna throw on my robe and like put my hair back
Mm.
up. I was like, screw it. Today's just another day. I'm just gonna hang out and not care. But yeah, and then I started smoking some of the weeds this morning. Thank you, Yona. Today I have what is called it's called okay, so it's from a company called Elion and it's called Fatso. And it's super neat and I love the smell of it. It's like my new favorite kind right now. So this is what I'm smoking today. It's kind of interesting. It's got like this little sumo wrestler batting an onion, which is kind of cool. So that's what I'm smoking today, Yona. What are you guys smoking? You guys got names for them? Like I said, mine's called Fatso. I think it might be part of the Illuminati though, because if you look right here, the name of the company is like a triangle with an eyeball. So it's like, ooh, Illuminati stuff. But it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. When you smoke as long as I have, you kind of like start to become like, a connoisseur. So you start to like smell and taste differences and stuff. So definitely like very picky on how I smoke and what I taste, and that's definitely hit this spot. Happy birthday to your son, Yona. What? Your Yona, it's your son's birthday today? What? You got a Mr. Potato Head for my son. It's his birthday today. He's 4. Oh my gosh, how adorable. Am I fuzzy right now? I am fuzzy right now. Oh, well. Let me see if I can fix that. Oh, well, forget it. Weed snobs are the worst. I am. I'm such a weed snob. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But, like, after a while, when like you start eating certain foods, you like, your hamburger a certain way. You're like, I'm going to go to McDonald's today and order myself a hamburger, but I don't like tomatoes and onions. So I'm going to order my burger with no tomatoes and onions. But when you're younger, you don't realize, like, hey, tomatoes are gross until you try it. So, 10 years of smoking weed, I've figured out the hamburger that I like. So, and that's the same kind that I order every time. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm getting a call from an 800 number and I'm scared to answer it.
Well, I know what to do next time I'm in Virginia, where where it's legal. I can go and drive up there, and I've been meaning to go and go to a dispensary so I can come back down to North Carolina and make myself some lasagna at some point. My specialized lasagna that I've been meaning to make. So
Nice. You got
yeah,
a special lasagna. That's
yeah,
awesome.
nice cannabis lasagna. I'm looking forward to trying.
Oh, I would love that. That's interesting. I don't get very many savory things when I'm eating edibles. It's usually very sweet stuff like sodas and, things to put on top of things or just straight up weed. Like I guess if it's edibles, it's usually like soda or candies or, little snacky snacks. It's usually never anything savory. So, and I don't get canna butter very much, so like or very often because I don't really like, you know, it's very hard to cook marijuana because you have to keep it, under a certain temperature so that way you don't cook out all the, the THC out of it because you got to keep it at like 250 or below. So if you're baking cookies for like a really long time so you don't, burn all the THC out of it. So I love that stuff, but it's very, very, very rare that I get it with savory things like dinner, like lasagna. So that's kind of cool. That's like really, really cool.
Yeah, I just wonder. I would just wonder what kind of a high you get off of it. I'm just dead curious about that. Just I wonder if it's more of intense or, yeah, I'm
From eating?
curious. Yeah, out of eating.
It's more of a body high. So like I've eaten like every time I eat any kind of edibles, I'm usually just like I find myself stuck on the couch watching a show that makes me fall asleep anyway. I tend to just fall asleep.
Me
So
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
it feels more like that body high where your body's just like, oh God, I cannot fucking get up right now.
Yeah, I usually, yeah, when I've smoked it a lot in the past, I tended to just to fall, just fall asleep most of the time. So,
Yep. Yep.
uh,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. That's what I do. I ended up getting myself some syrup. So like you know how in like fast food restaurants or any kind of actually any kind of rest I guess kids are doing it nowadays. You can take it home with you where you get like carbonated water and then you can put the syrup in it and make it taste like the way that you want it to taste, whatever soda type you want. They have weed stuff like that. It's weed syrup, soda syrup. So you like get yourself some carbonated water in a bottle, and then you throw that syrup in there, and then you kind of mix it around, and it makes it taste like some kind of drink. Mine was like a strawberry limeade or something. That was the worst stuff I've ever tasted in my entire life. It literally tasted like cough syrup to me. It was horrible. So I've got like 1,000 milligrams of THC in a syrup version that I probably only have touched maybe like 300 milligrams of it. So there's about 700 milligrams left. And I just won't touch it. Like I'm ready to just throw it away because it's just pointless for me to even do it anymore because it's so gross.
good Lord.
I know, it's
Cough
weird.
syrup. Yeah, I'm just thinking the cough syrup aspect of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like cherry limeade flavor. Like I don't know if you've ever been to Sonic's Burgers. They have like these cherry limeade sodas that are absolutely delicious. It's like a mixture of cherry with like a lemon limes type soda. But when you got it straight up as syrup, it is definitely like Robitussin. It is horrible. I don't know why.
I can
Yona, I love the fact that you're smoking the Alaskan Thunderfuck. I really, really, really like Alaskan Thunderfuck, and it's very hard to find, especially with all the names out there nowadays with different kinds of weeds. The Alaskan Thunderfuck is one of the not the OGs, but it's definitely older schooled and very, 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 very good. Very potent too. So definitely you've got the good one, Yona, for sure. Two of your sons share a birthday today. One is turning 7. Oh, that's so cute. Then one, wait. Oh, you got two more. Okay, and then turning 4 and 5. Oh, on the 7th, and then turning 15 today. God damn, that's so awesome. I got my nephew's birthday this month, and I think he's turning 13. And then next month is my kid's birthday. She's going to be turning 15. And I'm getting scared. Like that's my baby in the house, and I no longer have a baby in the house. It's sad. Now I've got a teenager who hates me. Yeah, exactly, shake and bacon. Low temp for a very long time. That's exactly how you cook THC, and it takes forever. It is probably the most patient thing you have to cook with is weed. Mr. Odin, look, I gave you a whole bowl of food right there, and you're gonna go after the one piece that's on the desk. He's crazy. Cough like you're praying to die. Yep. Totally cheating on work. All right. So how have you been? What have your shows been up to? Have anything interesting happened with your shows?
Well, I mean, actually, it's been a pretty good year so far. I've been my subscriptions. I think I have the biggest boost I've had in quite a while. You know, I mean, I lose a few every now and then, as to be expected with all of us. But I mean, I've actually had the biggest boost I've had since I think since I started this channel. So
Nice.
yeah,
Hell
so
yeah.
almost, I mean, when I think about it, is when I think about all the subscriptions that tallied up, is pretty much come down to maybe one subscription a day on average. So
Dang, that is awesome. Hell
yeah.
yeah. I still go around and tell everybody it's you that got us to 1,000 subscribers over at KRTD. It's like all you. I always tell everybody it's you. So, but now I'm on my own YouTube channel. I think I've got like 15 subscribers on my own YouTube channel right now. So it's kind of nice. I know we're on the rock fin for KRTD. So that's kind of nice. But like Twitch and YouTube now, I'm on my own channel. So I can say whatever I want to, kind of.
Yeah, that's the one thing if I ever get over 1,000 on my channel and I'm monetized and all that, I'm a little worried about my mouth. I have to kind of police myself when
Hmm.
you know, I'll have to start policing myself with the new rules and all that. And
Yeah,
I know a lot of people having trouble doing that these days.
big time, big
Yeah.
time. Even me, like I used to call myself like an algorithm queen. I knew how to work YouTube really well, but all these new changes, it's just becoming so much to handle. Even like over at KRTD, I'm the one that's getting in trouble now. I'm the one that got us our second strike, and it's just like it's heartbreaking to me because I feel like I'm letting everyone down, and it just sucks because I don't feel like it was my fault. Like it's YouTube. Like I talked about the AIDS epidemic in the 80s and Fauci and stuff, and that's what got us the strike over there. But then I'll go onto YouTube and I'll see these other independent media people like Breaking Points and Kyle Kalinske and all the rest of them, and they're talking about the same thing that I'm talking about, but they're not getting a strike or they're not getting in trouble or anything. And I just don't understand how they're getting away with it, but we're, in the eye of Sauron. It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
I
Makes
have
no
noticed that certain people can talk about certain things and they get away with it, and
right,
other channels, especially channels who are not known, if they say something, zap, they get suspended for a week or.
right. That's what I'm trying to figure out is like what am I what am I personally saying that's different from them? Because I'm trying to look at things through a logical perspective. I can sit here and battle with, the the devil's advocate in my head out loud on on camera and stuff, like just because I don't have somebody sitting next to me to butt heads with to kind of keep, the conversation whatever YouTube wants it, then I'm the one that's going to get in trouble. Like, okay, cool. Like you'll have the dude on Breaking Points, going off and speaking truth. And then you got Crystal over there like, well, it's this, this, and this. And I'm like, is that what's keeping them from getting in trouble on YouTube? Is Crystal saying, well, and then saying her part? Because that doesn't change the fact that he just sat there that whole time and said exactly what we're all saying. How are they not getting in trouble because she's like, well, but we're getting in trouble when we're like, but there's other things to it, like we can say that. It doesn't make any sense. I'm
I,
trying to figure out the exact wording that I'm doing different, and I
I
can't find it.
I'm still resenting YouTube for what they did to me this past summer. I had my channels zapped for a week, suspended for a week for claiming that I made fraudulent claims about the 2020 election. I never said. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they acted like I'm some kind of election denier. And I talked about the 2000 election, not the 2020 election. But
Right.
it was interpreted that I said something about the 2000, excuse me, the 2020 election, as if I was some kind of, election denier from 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I explained that to YouTube. It went through all the appropriate channels. They didn't pay me any mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I know. They got me for medical misinformation when all I was talking about was the AIDS epidemic in the 90s and how they handled that, and that the fact that Fauci was still head of the NIH during then. Like, that's all factual information. All I did was show protests of people out there on the streets. Like, I didn't show anything that was wrong that was out there. Like, and then they got me for medical misinformation. I'm like, so I'm medically misinformationing the AIDS epidemic? I don't understand what you're trying to get me for, because it's not definitely not for, the Kofifi, because they would have, I would have known that because I would have been talking about it. But I wasn't. I was just talking about AIDS, and that was it.
I'm opposed to cancel culture, but they're going to have cancel culture on social media. They ought to say, well, if we're going to have cancel culture at this point, don't go back a decade ago or 5 or 7 years ago and shut down a channel or suspend somebody for a week for something they said 5 or 7 or years ago or a decade ago. And that's exactly what they're doing now. So it's going to, technically, they can kind of go back to time and find out what somebody said in 2014 and said, well, such and such person said this and this and that. We're going to take this person's channel down and make an example out of them,
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what our first strike was. Our first strike that we got a month ago was a video from 2 years ago before I ever even joined KRTD, before I ever even knew who they were. And it was a video about a vigil for Julian Assange. And I think Misty was on it and had like a panel of people and stuff. And that's what got us the strike a month ago. It was a 2-year-old video that I think it already, because we had gotten, they had tried to give us a strike on it about 4 or 5 months ago, at this, like for the same video. So we appealed it. It went through the appeal. They approved of it. And then I privated the video because I was like, I'm just not going to have YouTube mess with us again. So I'll just put it on private. And they struck us again for it a month ago. And that I appealed it again. And this time they didn't approve the appeal. The strike stuck. And so that's when we got that first one. And then I just got the other one a week ago. So we're on number 2 now. So third strike, and they're going to close out our entire channel. Like they got us all of us over at KRTD, like absolutely terrified of even making a video, because what if we lose everything, you know?
You have to start all over again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I just wonder what can be done. You think that there could be some kind of some lawsuit or something to kind of raise some awareness. There's a lot of people out there today don't even care outside. You think that a lot of people will be more aware and care about this issue, but a lot of people go to their day-to-day life not even thinking about it.
Exactly. They don't
Mhm.
even realize it. They definitely keep us on our toes too, because somebody like me who loves to test the algorithm, see what YouTube is up to now, see what's different, see what's making people succeed, see what's making people fail. They really like to keep me on my toes, for sure. For somebody who really likes to do that, so I'm definitely more on my toes within the last year, keeping up with what YouTube's trying to do more than I've ever have in my entire YouTube history of watching. So it's crazy, it's nuts right now. But I am on Rockman, I am on Twitch, you guys. I know most of you all are on Twitch already, because all I see is purple in the comment section. So you guys are already awesome. Speaking of which, I wanted to do some thank yous really quick, because I see some stuff on my activity feed. So like 3 days ago, I don't know if this is Lois, if this is Les Bones, but it says Lewis FPR38 followed me 3 days ago. So thank you. And then a week ago, we rated Nikki at the end of the stream on Twitch, and she gave us a shout out. So thank you for that, Nikki, if you ever see this video. I know she's live right now too. So, and Yona, thank you for following me from last week as well. Just wanted to say that really quick. Sorry, I saw that this morning in the Twitch, and I was like, oh, look, my friends came by and said hi. So thank you all for doing that on Twitch. All right. Are you ready to get started?
Sure am.
Okay, Les Bones, that's Louis Figueroa. Okay. I was just wondering, because you and that other Louis guy, there's like 2 of you running around. We got to put an O next to your name, though, so that way you're Lois, because you got to say it the right way. All right, we shall get started. Let me pop these up really quick first. Miss Lady, who are you barking at? Okay. Pull it up. Sorry, you guys. All right, so here's the first. Let me turn this down. Okay. So out in Texas right now, they're dealing with no electricity. This is Greg Abbott's area. I'm not going to sit here and bag on like just Greg Abbott like the rest of the Democrats are doing on here, because this is just a situation where people are in, dire situations. My bigger picture of this thing is not that it's nice to see, because okay, you guys, like I'm going to try to chew gum and walk at the same time. I am not happy to see people suffer at all, but it is technically a little nice to see people in a state where they make fun of and bag on homeless people and move them away from their area because it looks ugly, now having to deal with the same type of situation that homeless people are dealing with, because they're all in a rut, because of how their state is supposed to be. taking this and dealing with what's going on. Trying to walk and chew gum at the same time with this situation. Like I said, I'm not okay with austerity. I'm not okay with homelessness, but it is nice to see somebody or people, taking a bite out of their own cake, So this says this is Texas, where people cared more about their AR-15s than the lives of kids or women. This is where I don't care about it, where they're like, they chose Abbott over Beto O'Rourke. I don't give a fuck. Whether they were Democrat or Republican, they were all going to be without power. So there's just no ifs, ands, or buts. So they said, so bite the bullet, blah, blah, blah. So here's what's happening out in Austin, Texas, which is crazy because Austin is a liberal area of Texas. So as you can see, I mean, you can just see it. They're not homeless people. These are regular families not able to go to the grocery store because the grocery store's power's out. The grocery store is like, well, these things are going bad because we don't have refrigerated items, so we're going to throw it all in the trash. Welcome to capitalism. Now this is what people are out here doing. That instead of just keeping all that food in the grocery store and having people come in and just grab stuff before it goes bad, the store's like, oh, we're going to throw it away. Here you guys go. Enjoy dumpster diving, which is crazy.
It's always the profit motive over anything else. I mean, that's just how it is with capitalism. The profit motive.
Yep.
People, they rather see people suffer than to see people's needs met.
Mm-hmm. And what's even more wild too is I was watching this video and over again, trying to see different people in this video, and it's really crazy. Is I think in Texas, I know in California and other places, it's illegal to dumpster dive. You're not allowed to. But if you look right here at the very end, that's a police officer. There are so many regular people dumpster diving in the back of this grocery store that the police officers, even if it's illegal to do this in Texas, they can't stop them. There's too many. What are you going to do? Arrest all of these people? You can't stop them from doing that. And if you look in some of these grocery carts, you'll see there's things in here that doesn't even look like it would be something that could expire. I think I saw some like 12-pack of Pepsis and stuff. Like, what kind of Pepsis go bad in cans that's unrefrigerated? I mean, I keep my cans of soda outside, in the cold outside, like I don't even put them in the refrigerator. There is so much regular food in here that looks like it could still be salvaged. It's absolutely wild to me. I just thought it was absolutely funny at the very end. You're like, oh, okay, well, there's a police officer directing somebody to go and, I don't know what he's doing, but he's directing them. So that means he's just allowing these people to do it. It's wild.
Yeah, that is wild. And as I said, the profit motive, and everything. It's just, and I mean, and I'm becoming more and more convinced that capitalism is, like you said, is a problem.
It is. It is definitely unfettered capitalism, and it's definitely become a problem. It's something that I've been really looking at lately, is trying to see bigger picture of things, really studying history. And it looks like, just based off of other empires over history, we've already hit our peak and we're already in decline as it is. I feel like we're probably one of the shortest running empires in history. So
I used to think that if we had a few more unions and Medicare for all adjacent to the current system, that all would be well. And I used to call that socialism, and it would be okay if we had that, but we don't even have that. But I think that the whole system needs to be re-examined, and as a whole.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that everything needs to be government run, but I'm just saying that we need to kind of look at society as a whole economically, and because everything is too commoditized. I mean, everything is too much. Everything is made too much as a commodity.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And the fact that, prices go up, but the people's wages haven't gone up. You can't build a society, a capitalist society, that's based off of growth if everything grows but the people's income to make that growth happen. We're consumerism. That's part of capitalism, is consumerism. We were made to consume. That's what the elites did to us over 100 years ago, was pretty much get us to start consuming to make us grow. But if we can't grow with you as regular citizens, and with the rich people and the business owners and stuff, then yeah, this is it. This was the the chance for capitalism to show what it was worth in the history of the world, and it has failed immensely, just like all the rest of the other empires in history. Like they always say, like, well, capitalism works and communism doesn't work, but we've never even had actual, real, legit communism. It's always been like pseudo communism, like communism slash dictatorship, or communism slash other things. Like we've never actually had like a full socialistic, communistic type of society to show anything. Maybe back in like the hunter gatherer days, we might have had some type of commune with a type of communism, but there's no legislative, historical, reading about it to where we can learn, well, maybe this could work. And that's what sucks, is like,
The
we try to
only
tell people socialism and communism could work if it was just that.
I would say that probably the two models that came closest to working in the last century would be, let's say, the Nordic countries, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, as far as social democracy is concerned, and the model that existed in Yugoslavia under Tito, which was a form of communism, but it evolved into kind of a reform style communism where there was a lot of freedom involved, and then it went down the shitter when Tito died in 1980. And
What country was this?
This was Yugoslavia, Field Marshal Tito. I'm fascinated by his life.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that.
Yes, and Muammar Gaddafi's Libya's when he was in charge of Libya, based his economy off of similar to the model that existed in Yugoslavia, and it was the most prosperous country in Africa until Secretary of State Hillary Clinton made sure that the country collapsed, and now slavery's returned to Libya.
Right. Yeah, that's the country where she goes, we came, we saw, he died, and then she laughed. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. But see, now the thing is like, okay, so I used to think just like you did with like Sweden and Switzerland, those communist kind socialist communist type countries, and I could see how they're working. My only problem with them is there's so many like international banks there, and it's such an area for the wealthy that I feel like, yes, that's a utopia area, but it's kind of a utopia for like the elite rich people. You don't see a lot of low income people moving over there because they probably couldn't even afford it. So that would probably be my only problem with trying to figure out whether or not communism could work in that country, is because they have so many banks there that and offshore accounts are being held there with tax free and stuff, that you can't it's kind of hard to figure out whether or not it could actually work, because there's so much corruption going on there as well too. So
yeah, as I said, I just know that all of this bragging that a lot of Americans do about capitalism here has not worked. And I tell people that we're in the 11th term of the Reagan presidency.
Right, I believe that. Yep. Let's see what the comment section is saying. Society has been in a slow collapse for decades. It's just becoming more apparent each day. Yeah, there's recently Richard Wolff did a really good video about it was called like In Denial, or something about being in denial. And I think that if you look at the bigger picture of like the human psychology and where we are at in America, is we're slowly collapsing. We've definitely hit our peak. I think our peak was probably around World War II, as a capitalist society in history, looking at our little blip in time in the bigger picture of history. I think our peak hit right around World War II. you know, the God, I'm going to blank out on his name. The president in the wheelchair that ended up passing away, giving us those social programs, FDR.
FDR.
Thank you. I think that was kind of our peak, and now we're hitting a decline. But Americans, at least the ones that are in control, that still want to keep this like wheel going, is definitely in a state of denial, in a complete state of denial. It's kind of like, watching your dog die right in front of you, and you're like, I don't see it. It's not happening. There's just, they're in denial. There's nothing you can do about it. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess we have to build this movement.
Right.
And I think all of us here in the United States have to find a way to do it and move beyond Bernie.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to come on. What is going on with my Chrome tab today? Why are you being slow? I was trying to be all cool and show it before you finish your sentence, but I wasn't cool enough. Okay. So this is from Occupy Democrats about this. So the dumpster diving viral social media post shows real Texas under Greg Abbott. Remember, this is Occupy Democrats, so it's definitely a one-sided opinion piece for sure. So this says over 115,000 desperate Texas residents were left without power for days before the chaotic scene was posted, prompting calls not to eat the food discarded because of power failures. Trust and believe you can eat this food, people. If you want to go out there and get some free food from the dumpsters at the back of grocery stores, you can absolutely do that. I remember as a kid, we used to go to food banks as children with my mom, and we would go and get bags of like these, like the small little chip bags, the individual packaged chip bags. They'd be a month out of date and we'd still eat them, and they were still just as good. Like those a lot of the expiration dates on a lot of things don't really matter during a certain time. Yes, of course there are things that do, for sure, but there are safety times. It's kind of like that 5-second rule type thing. We do definitely have that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously something for years. I mean, something for several years you wouldn't want to touch. But I mean, yeah, if it's something like 2 or 3 months, it's probably going to be all right.
Especially like a bag of potato chips or something, you're totally fine. Or a can of chili. That shit is sealed tight. That's what canned food is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be the fact that it can last past its expiration date because it's sealed. So.
Yeah, even alcohol has an expiration date, and my parents are semi teetotalers. My mom's kind of okay with drinking a little bit. My dad hardly. When I was growing up, 6-pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon or whatever bottle of wine will last about a year in the refrigerator. So, and it doesn't last a year in my refrigerator.
It would in mine for sure. I still have like some Blue Moon from like 2 years ago. It's crazy.
If it's in my refrigerator, it won't be in my refrigerator very long.
All right, so a fight broke out among roughly 250 people in Austin after a local H-E-B grocery store was forced to dispose of spoiled, quote-unquote spoiled perishables, leading to a free-for-all. The incident is reported to have originated on social media after a user posted on Facebook about free food at the location. It wouldn't be long before videos documenting the chaos began surfacing. So there's a little video that we had already watched. 2 years after Winter Storm Uri left tens of thousands of Texas without power and hundreds dead, it's February deja vu. Austin Mayor Kirk Watson told the Austin American Statesman that he accepts responsibility on behalf of the city and apologizes that they have let the people down in Austin. I mean, at least the mayor is taking accountability for, the lack of responsibility for, making sure the power grid can stay afloat after what happened 2 years ago.
Oh gosh, I remember what happened 2 years ago with that snowstorm and everything. I'm not knocking down people that lives in Texas, but there's too many people that brag about how Texas is so much better than the rest of the country or what have you, and I don't really see any evidence of that.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I
Nope.
never been to Texas. I mean, I wouldn't mind visiting Texas. Like I wouldn't mind visiting any. I would like to visit every state in this country actually, but yeah, yeah. No, I don't necessarily think that Texas is exceptional like people claim it is. As
No.
far as
Texas is the one state other than California that I've been to the most, and it's nothing special or anything. It's like a big flat state full of country bumpkins with little pockets of cities that's got weather like Florida. So like during the winter, everything like freezes over. But then during the summer, it's so hot and wet that you like take a shower and then walk outside and you're like sweating to death because it's
oh, it
like
sounds
the
like North Carolina in the summer.
yeah, exactly. There's really no difference. It's absolutely nuts. That it's crazy. Like how cold it can get during the wintertime just overnight. Like there's this one highway to get to Austin from like the south of Austin, and it's just a single highway. And that night when I was driving back to the house, it was normal. It was starting to get cold or whatever. And the next morning, that whole highway, I woke up, it was like covered in ice, even though there was no snow or rain or anything. It was just ice cold, like black ice. And there was just cars off to the sides of the roads, just parked out there from, slipping and sliding all night long, just tons of them everywhere. Just overnight, out of nowhere, no rain or anything. It's just the air is so wet and thick that it freezes over onto the pavement overnight. The weather out there is nuts. The people are cool. You got like, the southern hospitality if you're white, and then the racist if you're black. So that's how it usually goes. Lots of, redneck boys who think that they're country bumpkins and stuff. So yeah.
And I know there are like progressive pockets like Austin that you can go to.
Austin.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Austin, Texas.
Austin
Is
is fun. I think out of all the places in Texas that I've been to, Dallas, Fort Worth, all of them, Austin was definitely my favorite. There was the LGBTQ scene out there is alive and well. I mean, I haven't been out there since at least in Austin since like 2000, maybe 2007. So it's been quite a while. But even back then, the rave scene was live and well. It definitely felt like a Texas version of Hollywood to me. It was kind of nice. It was very, very nice. I felt welcomed at that place better than I did in Dallas. So
Yeah, Austin. When I think of Austin, I sort of compare it to North Carolina. It would be probably comparable to either Asheville in the western part of the state, or near where I live, about an hour from where I live, Chapel Hill.
right.
Which I tell people here in North Carolina, visit Chapel Hill. So
Okay. Okay. Is that like the fun place to go?
that's my fun place to go, and it's the progressive place to go. I mean, it's a place where even though they're to my right in Chapel Hill, is probably one of the more left wing places to be in the state.
Right. Right. Yep. I
Yeah,
agree. I agree.
yeah.
So this says providing clear, accurate, and timely communication to the public is essential in an emergency like this. And once again, the city hasn't delivered. This has been a persistent challenge over the past several years, and public frustration is absolutely warranted. Talking about the affected people that are affected by the power outage. This is not free food. He said the food is rotten and spoiled and is unsafe to eat, which he is a goddamn liar. They're just pretty much like you were saying, trying to save profits for this corporation, which is so selfish, even during this desperate time right now. With corporate price gouging on a consistent rise, American families are feeling the financial pressure. More and more household staples like eggs, milk, and other goods are being priced out. Greg Abbott's refusal to fix the power grid and hold ERCOT accountable for failing to comply with previous mandates to do so have played part and parcel in where his constituents are now. So that's the one that I really wanted to highlight right there was that it looks like Greg Abbott has refused to even try to fix the grid and hold ERCOT accountable from what happened 2 years ago. So, like they were saying, these people, are justified in going and doing this because what else are they supposed to do? Their actual, governor isn't doing anything. And they just re-voted for him too. So
Yeah, I mean, the one hand, I can't believe they voted for him, but on the other hand, yeah, they did, but
Yeah.
look what was their opposition, Beto O'Rourke. I mean,
Yeah.
a guy that looks like he's desperate to run for any office that's willing to, for the people willing to vote for him. I mean, he's a joke.
Yeah. And this is the problem with the two-party duopoly. It's either you have the choice of two people that are never going to help you, but it's like, well, at least this one's not this one, so it's the better of two evils, and that's how we're constantly, even to the point where people are now suffering because of the two-party duopoly of what we're having to vote for. I'm pretty sure if they found some independent person who was running for governor and actually voted for that person, maybe something might have been done, could have been done. It's a really sad situation these people are in. But it's good to see that they're out there, at least going and taking the food for themselves. So that's all
Well,
that matters.
I was compared a Canadian province of Alberta to because Alberta's basically the Texas of Canada. Now, in their case, they elected an NDP government several years ago, defeated the Tories that they defeated, and that caused a lot of that a lot of people were like really shocked because the New Democratic Party of Canada taking over Alberta will be like the Green Party taking over Texas. That's yeah. I mean that shocked them. I mean, the NDP is a strong third party in Canada. They're the reason why they have nice things in Canada and we don't down here. But just
I mean, they do have their own problems too, because
they do.
They just recently had that thing in Canada where you can they're like, well, are you too poor to pay your bills? You can euthanasia yourself. Here you go. It's nuts out there.
Yeah, I heard about that.
You can euthanasia yourself if you feel like you're too poor to pay things off.
Yeah, that's kind of nuts.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said too. I was like, so you guys are not going to offer help at all. You're just really trying to make yourself like America, and you're just telling us to kill ourselves because the suicide prevention in America is doing amazing job. 0% suicide rates and everything.
The right to die. I mean, it's like if somebody's on life support and they're suffering. Yeah, but
that's a different story, right?
Yeah, different story. Yeah.
Right. But if you're feeling depressed and you're feeling suicidal because you can't come up with a bill and you're about to be homeless, like that's the solution you're offering people. That's wild to me.
That is crazy. Yeah.
They're like, just off yourself. Here you go. We'll help you. Jesus Christ. I shouldn't be laughing, but I do love morbid stuff. So, it happens. Okay, so we'll get on to the next one. Okay, so next one is, we were talking about this a little bit before, but for you guys in the audience, I brought this up a couple times in previous shows over the last couple of months. There has been going around in other states, these people are shooting out power grids, like these little power plant areas. So these areas are completely losing power. Speaking of losing power, because we just talked about dumpster diving out in Texas because of lack of power. So we just found out, or I just found out last night when I was watching this on the news, that two they're officially saying that they are white supremacists, have been arrested for attempting to and plotting to shoot up a power grid, which means to me the only thing that I can think of is, in my own conspiracy, just so you guys know, this is my conspiracy, is that there is possibly some type of underground or website area where these people are communicating across the country to plot and plan to wipe out power grids, to shoot up power grids in different areas. Now, the motive I haven't figured out. The only motive I can think of is these are a bunch of redneck white supremacists who want to live off grid, and so they're like forcing everybody to have to live like this. I'm not sure, but it's good to see that finally a couple of people have been arrested for this, so we can kind of see who is at fault for these. Like I said, it is my own conspiracy that the other ones were white supremacists too, but I mean, what kind of, you know, random, like who in their right mind, like, or who in their mind would, you know, all over the states, all over America at the same time think of doing the same exact thing and then actually doing it without some sort of communication somewhere, you know. I believe in, you know, the human subconscious and the collective conscious of people thinking things at the same time, but not to that effect.
Yeah, when I think about things like that, I know that the Department of Homeland Security, and I got my concerns about even having a Department of Homeland Security the abusive way it can potentially be, but there is but they did say that there's a bigger problem with domestic white nationalist terrorism than there is with the Muslim situation that which was the reason why the DHS was created in the first place, and that's what they were saying. So you know when you think about the grids and everything was being discussed and all that, and I'm thinking there's thinking about things like the Oklahoma City bombing that took place in 1995 and things like that. It just kind of sounds like it came out. A lot of people are kind of doing things that was done in the novel. Have you heard of the Turner Diaries?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's a white supremacist novel that's like kind of in the underground white
Mm.
nationalist world. It's like their Bible. Was written by this old man that kind of looked like Obel Rettenbacher, with an angry demeanor. His name was William Pierce, and like his neo-Nazi individual. He died several years ago, and he wrote the Turner Diaries, and he is talking about race, this white nationalist militia that kind of did things like that, power grids and blowing up federal buildings and bank robberies, all this, and eventually they eventually took over the country, took over the world, and exterminated everybody that weren't like them. Scary stuff.
Wow. Wow. Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds like them. That sounds about white.
a lot of white nationalist terrorism in the last 40 years has been based off of things that's happened from the Turner Diaries.
Mhm.
The bank robberies in the 1980s that took place in 84, and a Jewish radio talk show host in Colorado that got murdered. Allenberg, I think that was his name. Also, because of the Turner Diaries, it's all related.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, and then we get people like presidents like Trump coming into office that says these are good people, you know, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're friendly, you're making yourself friendly with literally skinheads, like Nazi racist skinheads. But you know, just a couple of weeks ago, there's people out there building tree houses to stop Cop City, and they get arrested and are known now as domestic terrorists. Like that's on their record now because they built tree houses and are trying to stop Cop City by protesting. Those are terrorists. But
Well,
you know, white people can go around and say, you know, Jews will not replace us and you know the N word and stuff, and they're fine. They're totally cool.
what kills me, you got Congress recently declaring socialism as an evil ideology,
Right.
um,
What about
and
fascism?
but no talk about white nationalism being declared an evil ideology. You know, I mean,
Right.
you know, it's like
You're going to denounce socialism? Fine. You want to denounce socialism? Then you're going to take away Social Security? You're going to stop the
mhm.
Postal Service? Are you going to stop fire department? Like what you know, are you going to stop giving subsidies to companies, to CEOs and shit? Like what are we going to do? Like what was the purpose of that? Just to say that we denounce socialism because they don't,
Well,
obviously.
I think that it was virtue signaling, but I also think that they were also indicating that if they had the power, that they would actually, you know, because I mean, they were talking about declaring Antifa and Black Lives Matter as a terrorist organization. You know, so if you're going to declare them a terrorist organization, you know, why not declare those other groups a terrorist organization?
Yep. The neo-Nazis, the skinheads, all of those little fools out there,
I,
even people living in sundown towns. what about them?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just noticed a whole lot of inconsistencies all over the place and everything.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. It's the time of the white man, and I can't wait for it to just go away. Oh, I can't wait. Okay, so speaking of making the white man go away, let's watch this. Okay, so this is it's a Baltimore power grid attacked, plot thwarted, is what they're saying. All right, here we go.
In this country tonight, the FBI says a potentially catastrophic attack on the power grid in Baltimore was thwarted with the arrest of 2 people who they say were plotting to carry it out. Stephanie Gosk is in Baltimore with more.
Tonight, the FBI says white supremacists Sarah Clendaniel and Brandon Russell were plotting to wipe out Baltimore's power grid within the coming weeks. The alleged plan was to spray 5 substations with gunfire.
The accused were not just talking, but taking steps to fulfill their threats and further their extremist goals.
According to the affidavit, Clendaniel telling an undercover agent it would probably permanently lay this city to waste. Russell allegedly told the FBI the goal was to create a cascading failure. Federal prosecutors say these photos.
So that's what I'm kind of thinking is what they were saying in the back rooms, in the whatever kind of, I'm just gonna call it like the 4chan chat, because like 4chan and 8chan are kind of like those dark areas of the web where you can kind of start getting your toes dipped into those areas. So it seems like there was communication across the United States of these people, because they even said it right there, like what was it, like attacks or something. Hold on, let me bring that back. There we go, right here.
Based. Russell allegedly told the FBI the goal.
Cascading failure. That's the word the 2 words I was looking for. Mm-hmm. So this is obviously, as you can see, it's cascading failure. So this means that, one after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. So they were hoping that once a couple people do that, they'll hopefully find some more copycats who are wanting to do the same thing in their own area, causing cascading failures across the United States.
Yeah, well, when what's his name? Tom Metzger was alive, he was encouraging people to do that sort of thing too. What was called lone wolf. I guess that's what it is. Guess that's the term. Lone wolf, encouraging the people to do that, and so people do that amongst themselves. So these actions can't be as easily traced.
Really? So is this that book that you were telling me about?
No. Tom Metzger is, and I believe he was in California. At the time, he founded some. He was an older man that founded some skinhead group called White Aryan Resistance in the 1980s. It was out of a Klan group. He became like really popular with some young kids, and a lot of the Nazi skinhead movement kind of evolved around this man.
And it was in California.
Yeah, in the early 80s.
Now, was this Southern California or Northern California?
I think it might have been in Southern California at the time.
Well, that makes sense as to why there's so many racist skinheads out here in Southern California then, because I've always wondered that. Like, they always say California is so liberal and so progressive, but man, somebody who's grown up in Southern California, at least in the outskirts outside of the cities, there's, as a white female, you know how hard it is to keep yourself away from those skinhead people. Like, there's some people, like there's this guy that was a skinhead out there in my old hometown of Lancaster, Palmdale. And he recently, just like within the last year, got shot up by the cops because he was on drugs and was going crazy and stuff with a knife. And like, people are like, where did that guy come from California? Because this guy, he looked like the straight up Joker. Like, he had like stitches tattooed on him. He had like, the scar thing tattooed on each eye. Like, this guy was just tatted up nasty. And people found out that this guy's from California and he's a super racist. And I'm like, dude, this guy used to come into my bar like all the fucking time. He would only come into the bar and tip girls that were white. He was like that racist. It was disgusting. And I just always wanted to know, like, where did all these racists come from California? If California is so progressive, why is there so many skinheads out here? So fucking many.
He was very popular in the back in the 1980s in that movement. In fact, you ever heard of a TV show called Wally George? It was a cable access show. It was a conservative talk show. I'm not saying that this conservative is connected with white supremacy. He was more of a normie guy, a normie conservative that was kind of like a predecessor to what you see on talk radio. Was sort of like a low budget version of what you see on Fox News today. And he had that guy on the show quite a bit. It was kind of funny seeing them argue on the air and everything. But that was back in the days that even conservatives would try to put up a little bit of a front that, oh, we're not racist, and they'll go and try to denounce those folks. But now they kind of tell people, well, they're good people on both sides, like the president saying.
That's what they do. They like gaslight you. These white people, these racists, they gaslight you into, especially if you're young and impressionable. Like, this is why I believe you that he got a hold of these kids and, put impressions on them. Is because if you're young and gullible, these guys are really good at talking things. They'll go around and say, like, the N-word isn't for just black people. Every person, every race is an N-word because it means the word ignorant. And you're just like, oh, is that what it means? Oh my gosh. Like, me, I'm just like, you're a fucking liar. But, to other little kids, I could see these kids like saying, oh, okay, is that what it means? Well, okay, I believe you. Like, that's what sucks about this whole thing is like they get these young, impressionable kids and they gaslight them and trick them into thinking this is okay because it means a wider range of things than what it historically represented. It's like you can see some racist people in California going around with the swastika on their neck, and you're like, God damn, you're racist. And they're like, it meant the Chinese wheel, symbol of the ever-turning wheel of life before Hitler got a hold of it. Like, you still got a swastika on you, bro. Like, are you kidding me right now? Come on.
Now, I mean, when you see like some motorcycle gangs, maybe in the 60s with them, it might have been kind of like a shocking aesthetic or something. But, no, today it's kind of like, no, there's some similar, we know what they mean with the swastika today. But I had a fairly close friend when I was at college that took a dark turn ideologically, and I'm not going to mention his name, but I'm not going to mention his name on the air, but he's kind of a well-known figure today politically. He's if he's not alt-right, he's almost there at alt-right. I mean, the Southern Poverty Law Center and People for the American Way, they kind of keep an eye on this guy. He's been talked about, and Anti-Defamation League, all of them, they've actually run articles and stories on this guy, and he's like a big anti-immigration activist and everything. And he used to be a progressive, and he's turned quite a few people that I used to know who were progressive into kind of right-leaning people. Maybe not as far as he's gone, but I mean, we're not friends anymore. I mean, he tried on me, and he gave up on me, and we frankly despise each other today. But and we used to be fairly close friends at one time. It's sad,
Yeah, exactly. I know there's been a lot of people that I've ended up not being friends with because I find out who they are in the end. With me personally growing up out here in the Southern California, in those racist areas like the Antelope Valley, like Palmdale, Lancaster, you end up meeting somebody and you get to know them, and then you come to find out after months and months and months of knowing them that like their entire family are like part of, the skinhead gangs out there in Lancaster, Palmdale, and you're just like, oh my freaking God, like what am I supposed to do with this? Trying to get out of those friendships is impossible too, because you make friendships and you're just like, oh, I had no fucking clue. So it's rough out there, especially for like, regular people who just want to live life, because it's almost kind of like religion where they just, racists will go out there and do missions, like recruit people and shit. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, you guys, they're bad. Okay, but we're talking about a power grid attack because of racists. I love getting in man, racism and religion, I really love to get into. So I'm sorry, just stop me if I keep going.
That's all right. That's all right.
Was to create a cascading failure. Federal prosecutors say these photos show Clendaniel had access to firearms. In one, a woman the FBI believes to be her is dressed in tactical gear containing a swastika, holding a rifle and with a pistol. Authorities say Russell started an ethnically motivated violent extremist group that embraced neo-Nazi ideas and targeted racial minorities and critical infrastructure. The arrest comes after recent attacks on energy grids in Washington state, Oregon, and North Carolina, where last December gunshots were fired at 2 substations, leaving 45,000 customers without power amid freezing temperatures.
Unfortunately, power grids are actually wide open. The power companies have got along for a long time, not having really robust security in place because they haven't been attacked. But it is a very challenging situation.
The FBI says Clendaniel and Russell had been in touch since at least 2018, when they were serving time in separate prisons on felony charges. Russell for illegal possession of explosives, Clendaniel for armed robbery. Since her release, she was diagnosed with a terminal illness, allegedly telling an undercover FBI agent she wanted to accomplish something worthwhile before her death.
Yeah, you hear that? Going down in it almost sounds like those Muslim extremists back in the day, like if you go and kill yourself in this big hoopla, take other people with you, you'll die and have 72 virgins, this is your big name to fame. And so it kind of reminds me of what she's doing. She's like, oh, I'm gonna die anyway, I might as well do something big before I go out.
Blaze of glory, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't tell me that our own white people in America aren't terrorists. You cannot say that now. Just from that alone, you're just like, oh, that's very extreme Muslim right there.
Anthony, what charges do they face?
Lester, they're charged with conspiracy to damage an energy facility. This is one of the substations that provides power to Baltimore. That charge carries a maximum penalty of up to 20 years, Lester.
All right, Stephanie.
She's white, she's terminally ill, and it's a conspiracy to do this. So she's just said it could reach up to 20 years. I'm thinking she's probably going to get maybe 5 tops, if anything, and then she'll be back out again. Maybe she'll die in jail.
Yeah. Who knows? Terminally ill. It sounds. Well, I mean, I just hope that. I hope that the prosecution to the fullest letter of the law takes place, because that shouldn't be tolerated.
Right.
Yeah.
If we're gonna murder people of color for traffic stops like Tyree Nichols, which happened recently, the least we can do is punish her to the fullest extent of the law.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the least we can do is make her stay in jail for a really long time. If police officers are out there being judge, jury, and executioner for people of color. So let's it's kind of like that one meme where you see the guy like poking something and it's like, come on, do it with something else. It's like, come on, do it with the white people too. Come on. Okay, I got the next one coming up because I know we're kind of running low on time too. So this weekend, I believe I've got 2 videos and they're kind of decent size. So I'm not going to talk too much ahead of time because it definitely talks on its own, and we'll find out some new information about this as we watch too. So this week, a train derailed. If you guys know anything about that, if you guys have been watching the news or anything, it is in it's called Lorain County. I can't remember what state this is in. Let me look. It's gonna say what it is, but the town is called East Palestine, which I did not know there was even a town or a city or anything like that in America called Little Palestine. Shows racism. But anyway, to me at least. So the train derailed this weekend and it is bad. So we're gonna watch to see what the train is carrying and what's happening with this whole thing.
In fact, we want to share them with you right now because this is a live look from East Palestine this hour. Look at that dark sky. Now, if you were with us an hour ago, you would remember
It did not look like that an hour ago. Do you see that plume of black smoke coming up? It seems to be coming up from chemicals that were on a train that derailed Friday night. This is a controlled situation. Of course, emergency officials have been afraid that those chemicals would cause a huge explosion if they continued to stay in that car, that train car. So an evacuation has been ordered and issued for people who live within a 2-mile radius of that train derailment zone now. But again, what you're looking at is a controlled release of those chemicals. They drilled a hole, they dug a trench, so some of those chemicals can kind of ease their way out.
Yeah, so that's what I was telling you earlier. So what they did is they have drones and stuff going over these ships, or I mean these these tanks, these train tanks. And since there's so much stuff inside of it, and it's all like there's a bunch of them on fire, what they did is they got some drills and started, like, I guess with drones and stuff, started poking holes into these sides of these tanks to release some of the liquids that are in there, so that way it doesn't accumulate the fire inside this little area, which can cause an explosion pretty much. So when I see black smoke, that's usually a good sign. Usually when it comes to fires and stuff, black smoke means that it's going out. But these are chemicals, so we definitely don't even know whether it's getting better or worse.
Governor Mike DeWine said earlier today, hundreds of people who decided to stay in their homes near that scene that you're looking at, they could be arrested if they do not heed that urgent warning to evacuate, which was issued due to the possibility of an explosion. And what you're looking at is a tactic that those emergency personnel are trying to use to avoid that. But here's the thing. The fear right now is what another explosion certainly could do in that area. And it's a specific kind of explosion that is of critical concern. Retired emergency management director for Lorain County.
That shit's crazy, huh?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That is all. I think like they're like products for creating or making clothing or something like that. There's like 2 different kinds of chemicals in those tanks. One for producing, I think it's clothing or something like that. So it's like highly flammable stuff, and they're all stuck inside each one of these tanks. So each one could possibly be an explosion unless they can get some, like what they did, started poking holes and releasing some of those liquids. There's a giant explosion.
Yeah, imagine when that was happening at the time.
Right.
Good Lord.
Could you imagine what it would sound like? Oh my gosh, it must have been apocalyptic just living in a house and hearing that in the distance. Whew.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, something along those lines. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just wait, it gets even worse. It gets crazy what they start talking about.
Tom Kelly, just a couple of hours ago, told me the situation there is so dicey, they wouldn't even dare fly a helicopter over the scene for fear of what is called a BLEVE. That's the acronym for Boiling Liquid Expanding Vapor Explosion. He says in this case, it's a real possibility.
What can happen is there's flame impinging on that tank car, and it's weakening the sides of the tank car. The vinyl chloride, which is possibly what the chemical is very volatile. And once it gets to a certain temperature, then that tank car fails, it can explode. I've seen videos where those tank cars, when they explode like that, can go a mile in the air and come back down. So that's why they've got that evacuation radius set up in the event that might happen.
I'm sorry, did you say the tank car itself, or the car that it's in itself, can go a mile based on the explosion?
Explode, yeah, and depending on how it explodes, if it blows the end off this car, it becomes a missile. And those tank cars have been known to fly a mile at least and come back down.
So this is why, as you can see, their drones are so valuable to perform the flyover, and they don't want to put a human being in a helicopter that could be vulnerable to being in the line of an explosion if that would happen. Kelly also told me he believes this is hard for emergency management personnel to decipher which train car is the dangerous one tonight.
Problem is, if you look at those videos that were taken from overhead, there's such a jumble of tank cars. Although they know what the manifest was on the train, they're really having a problem knowing which exact car is now laying sideways or twisted or, not in the line of cars where it originally was. So, and then plus they're burned and their markings are probably hard to find. They've got a real issue to deal with right now.
So that's what he's talking about. You look at that and you think, I don't know which car came first.
So,
I don't know which car.
what is your opinion on, because we were talking about this a little bit earlier today before the show. What is your opinion on the fact that these people have this 1 mile radius where they're forced to be evacuated? If they don't evacuate, then they're possibly could be going to jail. Now, like we were saying earlier, I'll give my example. I feel like it, to me, I'm like, hey, full freedom. Like if these people want to stay and if this is what they choose, then this is what they choose, My thing is maybe instead of arresting them, possibly could have them sign some kind of contract where they say, I'm going to stay here. And if something happens to me during this incident, I promise not to sue. Because that's a big thing that Americans really like to do. They're like, I'm going to stay here and get hurt so I can sue you later. So maybe to have them sign a contract of not being able to sue them later in case of damages, instead of jailing them. Because in their head, they're thinking, as long as we have them in jail in our area, they're safe and they're protected from this. And so we'll release them when it's done. But that's not freedom to me. That's not America to me.
I'm conflicted. I guess my position is probably about the same as the response to COVID. With the lockdowns and with the mask mandates and the vaccines, your choice.
Right.
Ultimately, and it, is one's bodily autonomy. And when it came to the issue of the COVID, kind of related to this, but I would tell people, some people, some liberals will tell me that I'm being a crypto libertarian, saying this or sounding like people on the quote unquote right. I'd be like, no, I'm more concerned about people having healthcare than the mandates itself. But in this particular situation, yeah, I'm conflicted. On one hand, I'm concerned about the public safety of these individuals. On the other hand, I am interested in individual autonomy too at the same time. So I'm going to be conflicted, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fully for the freedom of America. If they want to choose that, then just don't sue us later. That's all I say. Yeah. So here's the second half of what's going on, of how dangerous this is actually getting to the wildlife, to nature that is happening over there, and possibly future of what could happen to the people's drinking water. Here we go again, some more drinking water, because Flint's still going on. Recently, I've actually found out that there is a drinking water problem in Hawaii because of some kind of military oil leakage in their waterway. So, this is more of just, what's happening to the environment because of this kind of, stuff, which, I mean, if you think about it, or we'll talk about it in a little bit because I don't want to get ahead of myself.
And we want to bring you latest now on that train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, right over the Pennsylvania border, where a control.
Okay, so Ohio, East Palestine, Ohio. So this is in Ohio. Okay. Potatoes, Ohio. Got it. All right.
Release of the chemical materials inside one of those cars started just a short time ago.
The governor of Ohio says the toxic chemicals contained in 5 tanker cars are very deadly if inhaled. He says if those living within about a mile of the derailment site don't evacuate, their lives could be in danger. He says you could also suffer severe injury, skin burns, serious lung damage. So emergency workers were going door to door to making sure that no one was in the home before they started that release.
Let's go to KDKA's Erica Moke for the latest on this. Erica.
Yeah, now, Ken and Christine, what we're looking at here is potentially environmental impacts. I spoke to 2 people, Linda and Russell Murphy. They depend on well water. And just like about everyone else in East Palestine, they are worried about a lot of things. Now, the EPA does say that the area well and groundwater are safe. However, after this couple saw dead fish in this creek that you're looking at, they're deciding to not take any chances.
Oh, there was hundreds.
Russell Murphy is referring to the fish now belly up in Leslie Run. He and his wife noticed them last night, barely 48 hours after the fiery.
So that's how the fire was looking. And obviously, like we were saying, there's all kinds of chemicals in there. So it's getting into the water where the fish are. That he said hundreds were dead. Hundreds. And those people live off of the well water there. So.
Yeah,
crazy.
that is crazy.
Yeah.
Derailment 5 miles away.
This is huge environmental effects.
That's now one of many concerns the EPA now faces.
The impact of the fish, yes, there was a impact of those. However, the levels as we have seen it are protective to groundwater. We are aware there are some wells along that for residential wells.
Environmental cleanup crews were at and actually in that water today. So are these booms, which are used to catch and stop anything that shouldn't be flowing here, or into water wells, which Murphy uses for just about everything, including his livestock.
Your family, and you're bathing in it, you're using it for eating, you're drinking it. We got livestock, a couple horses, and we got pets. And, you know, is this stuff safe to drink?
At today's press conference, the EPA says it's safe.
We have been able to successfully control that runoff and contain the water and either treat it in place along with a robust sampling program for the water quality and we continue to expand that. And that will continue throughout this operation.
However, this iridescent sheen and those dead fish, to Murphy, tell a different story. One with an ending he is not looking forward to.
The health effects, the long-term environmental effects, the waterways, I mean, this is bad. It's bad.
Now,
that's that on that one. We don't have to watch the rest of what she has to say, but yeah, they're saying that it could be bad. I mean, we don't even know what the effects could have on the future of those people's water. So just more water problems. I'm very big on water because we need it to live. So.
Yeah, people think I'm crazy when I buy bottled water, but I do. I mean,
I know. And it's wild for me out here because I live right next to Lake Arrowhead. And so Nestle owns the company Arrowhead Water. I don't know if you've ever bought that bottled water. Please don't buy it. If you guys buy bottled water, please, for my own personal sanity and my fight, do not buy Arrowhead water. What they do here at Lake Arrowhead is they take the water from Lake Arrowhead or they put pipes down next to the mountain where the lake is, grab the water from under, which they're not supposed to grab it from underground. They're supposed to just grab the trickle down, the trickle off, but they don't. They go underground and they steal the water. They take it down to San Bernardino, clean it out, bottle it up, and then bring it back up here to Lake Arrowhead and resell us our own bottled water, bottled. That's the same water that we get out of our own taps up here is from Lake Arrowhead, but they take it from us, bottle it, and then bring it back up here and resell it. I got like a couple of years ago when I was in a really big fight with Nestle. A lot of us out here we got our local grocery store, Goodwin's, to stop selling Arrowhead water. We tried to get the Stater brothers to do it. They would not. They're still selling it. But the Goodwins did for a little bit. But it was like the grandfather, the grandkid who's like my age. His grandfather was the one that owned it, owned the Goodwin store. His last name is Goodwin. It's that's family that owns this grocery store. And I went, it had just been, he had just passed away and he had just given it to his grandson. So his grandson just started running the Goodwin store and he was the one that stopped selling the water. So I went there. I had printed out like this certificate of appreciation, from the community. Thank you for selling us this stolen water. And I went to the store to give him the certificate of appreciation and he refused it. And about 2 or 3 months later, he started selling it again. So it's pretty brutal up here, like the way that they treat water. Like, we're not even bad out here. Like we've got good water, we're not like Flint or, you know, like I was saying earlier, Hawaii, or what's happening with these guys right here in Ohio, you know, and all the other places that are dealing with water. We definitely don't have the water problem. It's just we see the corruption of what these companies are doing and trying to figure out a fight to stop them. To me, it's like I feel like it's a very privileged fight because we do have water. But in the back of my head, I'm always like, look, if we can figure out a way to stop this in my own local area while I don't have a vehicle to travel or money to travel or anything like that, at least I can figure out a way to succeed and try to find a way to succeed here so I can take this success and bring it to other places that are actually dealing with real water problems.
Yeah. As I said, I do feel guilty about buying bottled water in itself, let alone the issue you have with this. What's it, Arrowhead water?
Right.
Yeah, because of the plastic bottles in itself. But I you know, yeah. I'm not particularly confident about the water I drink out of the tap, so I always drink, you know.
Right.
And also, I have a preference for lemon flavored water. So a little bit of twist of a lemon in there. I gotta have, you know, I gotta have it.
Right.
And I try to drink plenty of water to slim down because you know, I lost close to 50 pounds since last year. So
Right. Yeah.
Well,
that's the thing too, is like it sucks because when you know you're middle class or low middle class, you can't even afford to get, you know, they have these products like these machines that go under your sink that can filter your water out for you. It's legitimately like bottle watering filtering process, but the machine is super expensive to buy. Then you've got to install the damn thing into your entire water system, you know, and then it's like a lot of money to upkeep because of the products that you have to keep, you know, like the filters you got to keep replacing because after a while they go bad, you know, filtering out your regular water. I've seen like rich houses that have those things to where you just turn on the tap and it is like just the cleanest water you've ever tasted. You could put those little strips in there and it comes out perfect. Like there's nothing wrong, perfectly pH balanced and everything. But it's expensive to own. Like I've heard, you know, some people say that it costs them thousands of dollars just for that one machine in their sink. So, you know, you know, it's expensive to be poor. You can't afford that kind of stuff. So of course, you know, to keep yourself safe in areas that you can't trust, like where you live, you would have to go and get, you know, bottled water just to feel safe, you know. Like I said, I'm very privileged. I'm very lucky. I live up in the mountains before the water gets taken down to cities and done, you know, whatever, you know, what is it? The stuff in toothpaste that they put in water as well. I forgot what it's called. Fluoride?
Fluoride, yeah.
Yeah. So before it gets all the fluoride put into it, we get our water up here before all of that stuff. We have our own special tanks that come from the lakes themselves before it gets taken down to the cities. So like I said, I'm very, very privileged up here. Our water is absolutely amazing. I've never had a problem with our water, but it's good to at least try to, you know, get that fight out there somewhere. So
actually, I remember. Now I live here in Johnston County, but I didn't live here all my life. I used to visit here growing up, and visiting family. And I remember that the water was extremely cloudy. I mean, it was like the cloudiest water you could imagine, and it has improved, but I'm still just a little bit, you know, squeamish about drinking the tap water around here because of you know, seeing how the water used to be growing up.
Yeah. See, that's my thing is like I get a little bit freaked out when I drink the tap water too, because I know the lakes out here. I won't swim in the lakes. They're fucking disgusting. Like to me, at least in my brain, because I know boats have sank in there. I definitely know people that have not known anyone personally, but have read in their local newspapers of plenty of people that have died in those lakes. Like I'm a little bit iffy about drinking the water sometimes too myself, but man, if we don't have bottled water, sometimes I'm just like, I'm just gonna drink it. I don't even care. Definitely use the tap water for my coffee, but it boils, so I'm thinking it's safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you imagine? Like, I know there's people out in Hollywood that literally put bottled water in their coffee pot. So I've seen it. It happens.
No, I would no. That's a little extreme there. If you're boiling the water, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Willie says hello. Or I mean, Willie says hello. Warren says hello. Why am I getting calls today? I don't understand. Sorry, Warren says hello, Willie.
Hey, Warren, how are you?
Warren also says you drink New York City tap water, but I think it might be root beer since it has a brown color. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't.
Well, but yeah, I mean, just we got to worry about the water we drink in this day and age. That's just terrible.
Yep, absolutely. It's crazy. And it's like they don't even care, because that's literally something you need to survive. You cannot live without water, literally cannot live without water. But they treat it like a commodity. So it's nuts. Shake and Bacon says East Coast Canada and the U.S. have so much lead in the water. Let your water run for 5 to 10 seconds before you use it to make sure any particle buildup runs through. Right. Absolutely. That's what's great about living out here in an unincorporated mountain area is my water, when I turn on the tap in my kitchen, like it kind of like spurts out for a little bit before it actually starts to run because I'm, unincorporated. We kind of like feel like we're living off grid. So don't worry, Shake and Bacon. My tap doesn't even turn on for like a good minute first. So what does Les Bone say? Use a filter and then boil it. We had our water pipes replaced recently, and they told us to use the filter for at least 2 years. Dang. If you guys live in New York City, though, so it's brutal out there. Like, absolutely brutal.
Don't know if I ever had water for New York City before.
I've never been to New York, so I've never. I mean, I've had water from LA and shit, so can't be too different, right?
No.
I'm not sure.
Anyway.
Anyway, what you got going on today?
Oh, for me?
This week. What do you got going on this week?
Well, the interview that I was going to do an interview with somebody this morning, but I mean, as I was telling you before the show, that I was running late from work this morning, and I had traffic, and I had to get some sleep, and all that. So, the interview with Dr. McCloskey is going to be on Thursday, and we're going to be talking about the anti-war movement, the February 19th Rage Against the War Machine, because there are people out there saying that it's a right-wing event and trying to smear it, and and we're trying to make sense out of where the hell is the anti-war left.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been not really following the drama on Twitter, but kind of seeing it. Is it because Scott Ritter got invited or something? Is that what?
Well, I don't think that's like. I mean, he came back. I think he's still going to be speaking. I think the Medea Benjamin is not speaking out there. She uninvited herself, unendorsed it, because I think she doesn't like Jimmy Dore, and she doesn't like Jackson Hinkle is the issue. Just things like that.
Got it.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm anti-war, and I look at the panel of people who are speaking at the Rage Against the War Machine, and just kind of like, well, some people are okay, some people, whatever, but the issue is anti-war.
Yep, I completely agree. Yeah. We're gonna here at KRTD, we're gonna be covering it. We got a couple people going out there covering it as media, right? You as well? Yeah, yep. There we go. Yeah, we got you. I believe Shane is gonna be going. I know that you guys are Shane is gonna be staying over at Sherry's place. I don't know if you're gonna be staying over at Sherry's place too.
I'll probably be staying at a hotel. So that's my plan. I'm planning to. So I'm going on vacation. When I get off work on the 17th, I'm going to be on vacation that week. So I plan my vacation at that point. So on the 18th, I'll be on my way to DC. I'll probably get a hotel in Alexandria. So maybe if she doesn't mind giving me a ride to the Lincoln Memorial, I'll take her offer in that regard, and that it may so that'll help because I had to go parking. I know is impossible in DC.
Mm-hmm. Let's get you, Shane, and Sherry into like a Facebook group chat or some kind of group chat. I don't know what she might just be only on Slack. I don't think she's on social media anymore. So, but let's get you guys into a group thing. That way you guys can kind of plan it out a little bit a better. That way you guys got your own little area to talk things out. So that way you can figure out maybe she can help you out because I know that Shane is going to be staying with Sherry. So I don't know who else is going, but yes, we are going to be covering it as KRTD. I'm so excited. So yay! I'm wondering because I know Shane's probably going to ask me. I'm probably going to be the person because you know how like you have somebody in the studio who's like organizing the the different live streams that are going up. What I think I'm going to do is what probably Shane is going to eventually ask me is I'll probably host it here on StreamYard, give you guys all the links, and then have you guys recording from your phones or whatever you guys got through the link, and then kind of bring you guys up from the backstage one by one, or whichever one's got something going on. That way we've got some kind of hosted media coverage of it with all of you guys.
I see what yes.
I think that would be a lot of fun. So definitely going to cover it. Like Shake and Bacon says, don't care if someone's right wing, left wing, or chicken wing. Being anti-war is the correct position. No matter what, we all need to stop these wars because, like I've been talking about and been thinking about as well, because I didn't do a show last week, but I know I talked about it yesterday. You know, about more than half of the country now is really already getting tired of the Ukraine-Russia war, and by what's the propaganda is being released from this weather balloon, this balloon that was going out this weekend. I really feel like the propaganda is ripe and perfect for us to start an economic war with China. With BRICS starting to happen, I think that we are probably going to lose this economic war eventually. So let's just be on the right side of history about this and just be anti-war completely soon, like that one guy says in the one movie, can we all just get along? So,
well, I mean, there's no reason to have an economic war with China. I tell people, if China I don't think that China's going to invade Taiwan, but I think that China will take over Taiwan, but not militarily. I think that they will economically take over. I'm not, huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't want to start World War III over Taiwan nor Ukraine. I mean, I just don't, or any other country. I just don't.
Well, even putting an actual war aside, just like this, what I consider our next war is going to be economic. Is how are you going to go after go into an economic war with China when our culture has been to get the cheapest labor possible so that way we can make the biggest profit. I'm sorry, but that's the brainwashed culture of corporate America. That's just what we think. So you really think that we're going to go to an economic war with China when all of the CEOs who are even American use that labor and are not going to give that cheap labor no matter what? Like, I mean, I can consider that's why America hasn't risen the wages since the 1970s. Technically. So, I mean, I can see that maybe that's America trying to keep the wages low so that way we can start bringing production back to America. But, I mean, as long as China has cheaper labor than America, there's no way ever that you're going to get these corporations to give up their cheap labor in an economic war. So.
Yeah, and I mean, the only way that like this whole supply chain crisis, I mean, it didn't have to take place if these companies would have never outsourced and left these shores for cheaper wages abroad to begin with.
Yep.
Yeah.
That lady agrees completely.
I was about to say that actually.
That's Miss Putin's puppet. She's evil. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Evil. Look at those ears. Okay. Yeah. So Thursday you got an interview. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be a really good one. Definitely going to be awesome to see.
It'll be an 11 a.m.
perspective. 11 a.m.
Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m.
Jesus Christ, that's going to be early in the morning. Okay. I will wake up early, 11, 10, 9. That's 8 a.m. for me. Okay, I'm going to watch the replay. I might watch the replay when I wake up in like 1.5, 2 times the speed. Do you mind if I show bits and pieces of it on my show on Friday?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, because I don't want to get into the drama of everything. So if you've guys got some really good perspectives, like outsider perspectives of just being anti-war and wanting to join up with people, you know, and all of that stuff, minus the little drama stuff that comes along with it, I'm totally down to show bits and pieces of your show on my show.
And she's thinking about trying to do some kind of. She's thinking about going into social media too. So,
awesome.
And you'd be surprised how many people she knows throughout her life. I mean, honestly.
Right. No, that's cool. You're getting some awesome people on your show. I don't know where you get the guts enough to ask people to go on your show. I wish I had that in me, but I've never have. So I commend you. You're doing awesome. You're really getting up there. So, I mean, even the Due Dissonance guys know who you are, and those guys are getting up there now too. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Only thing about the Due Dissonance guys, when I was like really sleepy that evening when I interviewed them, I was like really spazzed out. I was replaying the interview. I was like, they must think I was like babbling in the interview. I was like, they must think, gosh, what they must think. Because I was like, remember doing that interview, I had to go to work that evening, and I was like totally like sleepy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's I get too nervous. Like I interviewed John Kiriakou like 8 or 9 months back, and man, I was so nervous throughout that whole thing. Like I'm just sitting there reading my piece of paper, like, oh God.
I wasn't nervous. I was just babbling. I was just babbling because I was sleepy. You know, I was like, I had to do this interview, but I see, did I do I think I did 2. I'm trying to think, did I do something earlier that day? No, I'm trying to. It's been a couple of weeks. I was busy that day and not a lot of sleep.
Just be the cool guy that you are and just be like, yo, you guys, you know, I was tired. I'm sorry that went really bad. Let's do a round 2 and we'll have a lot more fun.
Yeah.
You know.
Anyway, that's what happened that day. I was just like,
Yeah. Warren says he was stoned as a goat when he interviewed him, so they're used to it.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else coming? I know Warren also hasn't he is actually going to be taking the old guy's place for Due Dissonance this Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So there's like the young guy and then the older guy. I think Warren
and what's the other one? Russell,
yeah, Russell Kukiku. I don't know his last fucking name. It was something I don't remember what it is. Yeah, exactly. The old guy shaking. I can't remember his guy. Yeah, DeBlue. There we go. Warren is going to be taking his spot on Thursday as well. I cannot wait to see that. I can't wait to see, because I've only recently started watching bits and pieces of them, and I stopped watching them kind of even more recently. I stopped watching them because they're getting too much into the drama stuff, but their dynamic back and forth is awesome because they're very talkative, but they can get really into the seriousness. Russell seems more of like the comedic relief, so it seems like a perfect fit for Warren to kind of take that spot for a night and kind of take over and do that part. So I can't wait to see how that's gonna go. Double, right? That's what I said. So that's gonna be on Thursday. And then we've got Warren also is going to be doing his first Mundus Ultra Mundus, his new conspiracy theory channel show on Friday. So definitely keep an eye out for that. We've got the weekend midnight show, the secret show for me and Warren. That's going to be Saturday. And then this Sunday I'm going to be on your show, right?
Yeah, at 8 o'clock. Yeah, Eastern Standard. That'd be 5 o'clock your time.
5 o'clock my time. I will not forget it. I don't know why this Sunday I thought it was at 5, or I thought it was at 6. That's why I got a hold of you at 5:30. I was like, "What time is the show?" And you're like, "It was at 5." I'm like, "Fuck! Oh, I guess I passed."
You're fine. No problem. No problem.
Yeah, it ended up working out perfect because you were tired and you ended up having to work anyway. So.
Yeah, it just everything's been a kind of a clusterfuck lately. So.
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's how it all is for everybody right now. Okay, so I think that's it. I will be back tomorrow, you guys. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Who we got live right now going? I see Punch Up Pod is live right now, so you guys can go check out Pat Cody. He's awesome. He's a really cool guy. I don't really know the girl that he does the show with, but I definitely know Pat. He's awesome. Good guy. Very nice. One of those like guys that look like a douchebag, but he actually ends up being one of the nice like friend zone kind of guys. So kind of cool. All right, good stream, everybody. Thank you for coming. Les Bones, Warren, Shake and Bacon, my boys, of course. And then Yona earlier. Everybody else. Let's see. I think that's it. Okay. Thank you guys for coming. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good day, and I will check you all later. Bye.